As the A's woke up today getting ready for baseball against the Blue Jays, they were shocked by the news that Scott Kazmir's out the door. Trading deadline approaching, and the A's say goodbye to their talented left-handed starter. Welcome to the Coliseum with Ray Fosse. I'm Vince Cotroneo. And Ray, it is that time of the year, and the A's say goodbye to Scott Kazmir. They get a couple of players back from the Houston Astros, and a pitcher, Dan Megden, and a catcher, Jacob Nottingham. But as we find out, this is one of those times of the year, and the A's are right in the middle of it.
And it's called rent-a-player for the Houston Astros. Scott Kazmir, a free agent following this season, and going back home. He's going to pitch for a team that's contending. And who knows, maybe the A's could have also contended the last couple of months. We will not know that because Kazmir, the thing about him, Vinny, that we have seen, he's become a pitcher, and I think that's the most important thing. He was a thrower in Tampa Bay. He threw fastballs 96, 98 miles per hour. He relied strictly on his fastball. Now we have seen the last couple of years, even with Cleveland, he has become a pitcher using his fastball, using it as off-speed pitches, working both sides up and down the corners, doing everything that you want to see a pitcher do, knowing also that in the back pocket he's got a 94, 95 that he can throw when he needs to. So he's become a pitcher, and I think that's what has made him so desirable, especially for an Astros team trying to win.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The A's have 10 games left against the Astros, and certainly they may see Kazmir as soon as in a couple of weeks.
Well, so I'm walking out, and he said, I'll see you in a couple of weeks, and probably would be starting because they're going to use him. They needed starting pitching, and, of course, they've done a tremendous job, and I think for the Astros, Jeff Luhnow, to say, we have a chance to do something special this year. Nobody expected the Astros to be where they are. They still have the Angels to contend with. There are two wild cards that everybody's going to talk about as well, but I think from their standpoint, they're getting a bona fide Major League pitcher.
Today was supposed to be Scott Kazmir against the left-handed opening day starter Drew Hutchinson. Instead, it's the knuckleballer R.A. Dickey, and the A's go with the left-handed Drew Pomeranz. So we'll see what happens. It's the A's and the Blue Jays. A's trying to win another series. It's day baseball from the O.co. We'll have that for you right after this. show and concert information. A wild morning with the trade of Scott Kazmir, and both starting pitchers that were scheduled for last night have been switched, and we'll get to those as we get to the starting lineups. First, for the visiting Blue Jays, they're 500 right now, 48 and 48, 5.5 behind the Yankees, and they'll lead off Jose Reyes at shortstop. Batting second, Josh Donaldson at third base. Hitting third, Jose Bautista. He is in right. Edward Encarnacion at first base. Hitting cleanup, Danny Valencia, the left fielder, hitting fifth. Russell Martin catching and batting sixth. Chris Colabello, their DH, in the seventh spot. Kevin Pillar in center, hitting eighth. And Devin Travis, their second baseman, batting ninth. For the veteran right-hander R.A. Dickey, it was supposed to be Drew Hutchison, but came up ill with flu-like symptoms, so the knuckleballer stepping in, 3-10, a 4.70 ERA. Reyes at short, Donaldson at third, Batista in right, Encarnacion at first, Valencia in left, Martin catching, Colabello the DH, Pillar in center, Travis at second base. For the A's at 44 and 52, Billy Burns leading off in center, Stephen Vogt catching and batting second, Ben Zobrist, the second baseman, batting third. Josh Reddick in the fourth spot, and right, Billy Butler, the DH, and batting fifth. Last night's walk-off hero, Ike Davis at first base, batting sixth. He said his beard still smells like ranch dressing. In the seventh spot is Brett Lawrie at third base, Mark Canha in left, batting eighth, and hitting ninth, Marcus Semien at second base. For the left-hander Drew Pomeranz, who has not started a game since May 18th. He went on to the sample list with shoulder problems, came back, and he was put in the bullpen at that time. Again for the A's, Burns in center, Vogt catches, and Zobrist at second, Reddick in right, Butler the DH, Davis at first, Lawrie at third, Canha in left, Semien the shortstop. This copyrighted broadcast presented by authority of the Oakland Athletics for the private and non-commercial use of our audience. Any reproduction or retransmission of the description and accounts of this game in any form without the express written consent of the Oakland Athletics is strictly prohibited. Ready for Thursday afternoon baseball. And once again, here's Ken.
Jose Reyes leads it off for Toronto. A switch hitter batting right, and the pitch by Pomeranz, a fastball outside. 64 degrees here at the ballpark. The final meeting here between these two clubs this year. And Pomeranz out of the stretch, and the lefty delivers the 1-0 pitch, and Reyes takes a ball low, 2-0. The A's with the gloves, they have Ike Davis at first, Zobrist at second, Semien at short, Brett Lawrie's over at third, Mark Canha in left, Billy Burns in center, Josh Reddick in right, Stephen Vogt behind the plate. Pomeranz fires a fastball for a strike on the outside corner. University of Mississippi for Pomeranz, a #1 pick of the Indians in 2010.
That's important you say University and not Mississippi State. I made that mistake, and he screamed at me.
Oh, you can't do that, Foss. No. High for a ball. In fact, a battle of SEC pitchers tonight.
Well, I learned early on that you...
Early on, grand slam home run.
I just wanted to welcome you back with that little phrase that we know is not acceptable.
According to the late, great Mr. King, here's the pitch, and that's taken outside, and Reyes works a walk, and that's the way our ball game begins. He got mad at me one day, Bill, because he had admonished me. That's been well chronicled, but you can't say early on.
Right.
But one day he said later on.
All right.
And I said, now hang on a second. If early on is not acceptable,
right,
then why is later on acceptable?
That's a good point.
And he said, you know what? Now you got something.
That's
there.
right.
I haven't said early on since.
I said it just for you.
Here's Donaldson batting at 292, 22 home runs, 64 RBIs, and there's a strike on the inside corner. The plate umpire is Marvin Hudson. Pat Hoberg at first, Bach and Bob Davidson at second. Hunter Wendelstedt is over at third.
And Eddie Montague in the press box.
That's right.
Supervisor Eddie Montague.
Or umpire emeritus.
Yeah.
Now the pitch by Pomeranz, and here's a backdoor breaking ball that picks up the outside corner. And it's no balls and 2 strikes to Josh.
One of the dilemmas about trading a starting pitcher on the day he's supposed to start is that he normally arrives late. And Scott Kazmir arrived late. I asked Drew Pomeranz, at what point did you find out? He said, after Scott Kazmir arrived. Because they wanted to make sure that he was told first and foremost that he'd been traded before any other word had passed on.
Now the 0-2 pitch to Donaldson out of the slide step, and that's on the inside corner. A fastball, ring him up, strike 3 called, and Donaldson can't believe it. He didn't like the previous pitch either. And he's going to jaw with the plate umpire Marvin Hudson.
Well, the inside corner, and for left-handers and especially Drew Pomeranz, he pitches his best inside to right-handers when he runs the ball in. What's interesting about that, remember when Josh Donaldson caught Gio Gonzalez in Toronto in his first start, that's how Gio pitched against the Blue Jays, fastballs inside, and he had a lot of success in that game.
Here's Jose Bautista, the right-handed hitter. 1 out, 1 on. Reyes running a big jump, taken for a strike, throw to second. The tag is not in time, and Reyes steals second. Not a bad throw by Stephen Vogt. Zobrist took the throw on the bag, but a good jump by Jose Reyes.
That was probably about a 1-7, 1-8, and that's the quickness in which Stephen Vogt gets the ball, throws to second by the time Pomeranz, and it was a first move high leg kick by Pomeranz, and that's why Reyes got the big jump, similar to what the A's did last night against Felix Dubron. That's why Russell Martin tried to get rid of it as quickly as he could.
Went diving in head first. The pitch to Bautista, and it swung on a big cut, foul back. And it's 0-2. That last start that Vince referenced for Pomeranz against the Astros on the 18th of May. 4 1/3. He allowed 2 hits and a run, but he walked 5, and he struck out 2. At the belt, the outfield toward left, a whirl and a bluff, and back to second goes Reyes.
That's something the Pomeranz hasn't done enough of at times, and that is pay attention to the runner at second base.
Right. Well, he had the one slide step with Bautista, and then, of course, had the big leg kick.
Bautista, here's the pitch to him, down and in. And the count 1-2 to Jose Bautista. Pomeranz has actually won 2 games recently coming out of the bullpen. He was the winning pitcher in the 10-inning game on Saturday here against the Twins. The second game after the break. At the belt, checks Reyes, and the pitch is foul back, a big cut once again by Bautista. And then on the A's last trip, he actually beat the Yankees coming out of the bullpen. And that was on the 7th of July. Drafted by Cleveland, then he made his big league debut after he was dealt to Colorado. And the 1-2 is lifted foul back to the right, out of play. Both the Angels and Astros won last night, and so the Angels maintaining their 2-game lead over Houston. Texas 9 back, the A's back by 11, the Mariners back by 11.5. Bautista 240, 20 homers, 65 RBIs. Out of the stretch from the first base side. Pomeranz kicks, here it is, off speed down low, and it's 2-2. It's amazing to look at the American League right now, Ray, and consider that there just aren't that many teams that are playing that well.
So that makes it tough on teams as the trading deadline approaches a week from tomorrow night, because of the 2 wild cards and because of just what you said.
Here's Pomeranz with a 2-2 in the top of the first with no score on the way, and it's dribbled foul third base side. This guy's such a tough out, man. He battles. He had an 11 pitch at bat against Sonny Gray in last night's game. But in looking at the American League right now, of the 15 teams, only 5 of them are over 500. Vogt sets up inside, and a big cut and a miss on a fastball up at 91, and Bautista does something rare for him, and that is chasing a bad ball. He strikes out for the second out.
You know, it's almost as if, and we've seen in the series with some of the power hitters, where they're not afraid to expand their strike zones if they believe they're going to get a fastball, and he is upset that he did swing and miss. And perhaps even because he went out of the strike zone. But Drew Pomeranz threw him a good fastball. An elevated fastball is usually very tough to stop your swing.
Here's Encarnacion, who's batting at 232. 19 homers, 55 RBIs. The A's shift the infield for him, and Pomeranz delivers a backdoor breaking ball outside. It was a shaky ninth inning for Tyler Clippard, but he at least kept it tied because the Jays had the bases loaded and nobody out. They scored 1 run. Here's the pitch to Encarnacion, swung on and missed, 1-1.
Well,
he got 2 big strikeouts in the inning, Ray.
But you also know that in my catcher's blocks on my score sheet, Josh Phegley blocked 5 in the 9th inning alone with the runner bases loaded, basically 5. So all 3 could have scored if those had been wild pitches.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah,
no doubt.
He kept it a 1-run game, or our tie game actually.
Throw to first, and it hits Reyes because Zobrist was actually between Reyes and where the ball was. Zobrist was behind Reyes on the pickoff attempt.
And Pomeranz didn't have to throw. I mean, you don't have to throw to second. First you do, third. But as he stepped off in the spin move, Stephen Vogt could yell out and said, I got like that last night too. He got it.
Yeah, going into second base.
I thought he got in his hand, actually, in the side. Another big bruise.
2 out, top of the first, no score. Encarnacion, the open stance, a right-handed hitter. Reyes takes his lead from second. And here's the pitch by Pomeranz. And that's high and inside. Well, and Clippard got strikeouts of this guy, Encarnacion. Also struck out Donaldson on a changeup that was up and in. Might have been ball 4.
I think it was.
If Josh hadn't swung. The outfield is toward left. And here's the pitch. It's a 2-1. Swung on and missed a fastball away. 2-2. The Blue Jays enter play today on this 23rd of July. They trail the Yankees by 5.5. The Yankees the only team in the East over the 500 mark. And Encarnacion going after a pitch that was up. 2-2. And the pitch to Encarnacion is swung on and missed off speed. Encarnacion K's, and Pomeranz works out of it. As after the leadoff walk, he strikes out Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion. Billy Burns coming up to lead off for the A's in the bottom of the first after the Jays failed to score in the top half.
Leading off for the Athletic center fielder, number 1, Billy Burns.
Billy Burns leads off for the A's in the bottom of the first. There's no score. The A's against the Jays. And Burns, Vogt, and Zobrist for the A's against the veteran right-hander R.A. Dickey. He's 3-10 and a 4.70 ERA. His 20th start. And R.A. Dickey a knuckleball outside. With the gloves for the Blue Jays today, they have Edwin Encarnacion at first, Devin Travis at second, Jose Reyes at short, Donaldson's over at third. Dickey, the pant legs up high, and here's the pitch. And delivers down low. And the count 2-0. Danny Valencia's in left. Kevin Pillar. Center field, Jose Bautista's in right. And behind the plate, Russell Martin. Dickey delivers. And that's taking a strike on the outside corner. He will mix in an occasional fastball, Ray.
He's thrown 2 of the first 3.
Drafted #1 by Texas back in '96.
Billy Burns has talked to somebody about switch hitting.
That's right, he's batting right. He's a switch hitter, but batting right against Dickey, and we've seen that many times before with the A's. They're switch hitters, and not just against Dickey, but maybe like a guy like Tim Wakefield. Here it is, and Billy, it's a chopper to short. Reyes plays the hop, flipped to first in time, and Burns is out 6-3, and that'll bring up Stephen Vogt.
See if he bats left-handed next time.
Yeah.
I mean, he can do it. I mean, just down a bit. Zobrist. Zobrist is going to bat right-handed as well. He's got the it's like the right-handed batter helmet on. Yeah.
What would be the theory behind that?
Just the movement of the ball. I think with a knuckleball, it will go down and away, and you'd like to have it come down and in to a right-hander versus down and away to lefty. I'm sure it's something that Dickey has experienced.
Here's Vogt, a left-handed hitter, bottom of the first, no score and a strike, and it's 0-1. Although I really like, Burns has been good from both sides of the plate, but left-handed and the way he can fly, get down the line, it's a lot of pressure on the defense on a ground ball as Vogt fouls it back.
Vogt's batting left-handed.
Yes, he is. Glad you pointed that out, Ray.
But you see the first knuckleball went away from him, and I think that's the concept and the reason that they do it. But it's really like if you bat left-handed and the pitcher has an excellent changeup or like a screwball changeup that's floating away, then it's similar with the knuckleball you want it coming into it.
And Dickey deals. Here's the pitch. There's the knuckler bounce left side. Charged it short. Bobble, and Reyes has no play. That'll be Reyes 6. He had to go slightly to his right and in a little bit and just bobbled it. The A's get a huge break.
If they were playing him to shift, just like they were with Ike Davis last night. Now with the knuckleballer, that's one thing. But the fact that he had to go as far as he did to the right and then try to set himself up, because Stephen Vogt proved last night it probably should have been given a hit and an error when Reyes had to hurry himself when he threw the ball in the dirt. But Reyes that time had a range too far and really tried to rush himself.
So here's the pitch to Zobrist, a switch hitter. He's batting right. He takes the ball 1-0. There have been 2 interesting plays and bang plays at first base on this homestand involving initially great plays by shortstops that were key. Of course, it turned into the walk-off last night by Ike Davis. And here's a chopper foul left of the bag at third, but that wonderful play by Eduardo Escobar during the Minnesota series, and then Brett Lawrie beating the throw at first base when the A's were down to their final out.
That's right. But I think one thing we have seen, and it's something you shouldn't even consider, but how hard and how fast the A's hitters try to run when they hit a routine ground ball. Stephen Vogt last night forced Reyes to do what he did.
Here's the pitch, and it's a fly ball to right field. It's playable for Bautista. He's under it now, and he makes the catch. If you want to get under the skin of Ray Fosse, you say something like this: he runs well for a catcher.
Well, they run hard. They're just not fast. There's a difference. But Stephen Vogt, surprising. I mean, as we always say, don't take his speed lightly. Don't sleep on his speed, because he can run. Well, he plays enough first base that the legs don't really tighten up.
And he didn't catch that much coming up in the minor leagues. He played a lot of positions coming up with Tampa Bay, and that's one reason he points to when people talk about the fact that he can get down the line pretty well.
But he also still has that steel plate in his foot from his offseason surgery. So he slowed down. I mean, at least he's inhibited a little bit in the way he does run.
Here's Reddick, a left-handed hitter, and Dickey delivers. That's a strike on the inside corner, 1-1. The A's have a runner at first. That's Vogt. He reached on the error with 2 out in the bottom of the first. The A's and the Jays. Here's the pitch. Reddick a check swing. They appeal to third, and yes on the appeal down to Wendelstedt.
I see he was paying attention today.
Who kicked Bob Melvin out of the game last night. on a weird deal, Ray. It was a pitch out that wasn't.
Yeah, and that's all they asked. Was it a pitch out?
Here's Reddick outside.
But evidently, I talked to Stephen Vogt last night when Hunter Wendelstedt on the first game of the series was talking to the first base coach while there was an appeal made to first base. Stephen said,
the pitch, Reddick takes inside, 3-2.
Said that the conversation with the first base coach was about supposedly walking. Well, the umpire actually walked over in the grass near the coaching box while the game was in progress. You just don't see that happen. And then the appeal was to first base, and he wasn't even watching.
R.A. Dickey out of the stretch. And with 2 out, Vogt running on the 3-2 pitch, and it's taken low and outside, and the A's have 2 on and 2 out, and Billy Butler is coming up.
Last night, Felix DeBronk had a horribly slow delivery to play. The guys were running on. That's why Martin tried to do what he did last night. Buck Martinez, former catcher now with the Blue Jays broadcasting, said he has seen Russell Martin as one of the better catchers who can set himself up to throw as the ball is approaching. And that's what Martin tried to do last night. But this afternoon, Martin's catching. With a knuckleball pitcher, even though Dickey is quick to the plate, you still have to catch the ball if you're going to throw somebody out.
Billy Butler takes a strike on the outside corner. That's always been an issue for knuckleball pitchers, the feeling that you can run on them.
And they will go by the time of the pitcher, and he will get rid of it, like Wakefield and Charlie Huff. These guys are very quick to the plate. Catcher still has no timing behind the plate.
Billy Butler fouls it back out of play. 2 out, 2 on. The A's have Vogt at second. They have Reddick at first. Bottom of the first, no score. The other thing is the knuckleball pitchers usually throw to first base a lot. The pitch by Dickey, and Butler fouls it back, and it's 0-2 to the A's DH.
I just think that with a knuckleball pitcher, you forget about his time in which he releases the ball, and that's what the clock stopwatch with the first base coach will determine, how quickly he gets rid of it and what kind of a jump can the runner get. But watching Russell Martin last night trying to hurry, knowing the fastball was coming, you cannot do the same thing with a knuckleball because it does dance a lot.
Here's the 0-2 pitch on the way, and swung on and missed, and Butler is down on strike, so he Ks. The A's leave 2 runners on base. They fail to score, and after 1, 0-0.
Leading off the top of the second inning for Toronto, and batting in the 5th position, left fielder, number 23.
Drew Pomeranz getting set to go as our ball game goes to the top of the second inning. Valencia, Martin, and Colabello will be coming up. Pomeranz, after Jose Reyes walked leading off in the first inning, came back to strike out Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion. And here's Danny Valencia, the veteran right-handed hitter, hitting at .305 with 7 homers and 28 runs batted in. Number 7 came in the ball game last night in the 7th inning against Sonny Gray.
To right center, how about that?
On a cool night.
Well, jumped. He's a big boy, and he showed it with his power.
Just some filmy clouds above the ballpark right now, but it's a beautiful day. And we're scoreless in the second, and Danny Valencia takes a strike on the inside corner. Tell you, Sonny, he did give up 9 hits and working the first 7, but held the Jays down to 2 runs. And that's great against this club. They by far lead the big leagues in runs scored. Inside for a ball taken by Danny Valencia, and the count 1-1.
I think you learn more from a pitcher when he's in trouble, and he had traffic in 5 of his 7 innings and really minimized the damage.
103 pitches, 67 strikes for Gray. So out of the stretch, and Pomeranz down to the belt. And here's the pitch by Drew, and that's high and inside 2-1. He will be staying in the A's rotation. They're going to stretch him out, but one wouldn't expect him to throw too many pitches here this afternoon. The 2-1 pitch on the way, and he throws, and that's swung on and popped foul out of play. The news involving Scott Kazmir, and Billy Beane was very direct about it and saying, well, look at the standings, and this is the reality of where the A's are. 11 games behind the Halos at this point. He said there was a lot of interest in Kazmir, but when the Astros were very serious about acquiring Kazmir and were willing to include the young catcher in the deal. Now the pitch, and that's a fly ball right field. Reddick is coming on a long run. He's not going to get there. That ball dropping in front of Reddick. Not sure if he might have been fooled initially, but Valencia goes the other way and dunks a base hit to right, leading off in the second.
It was an inside-out swing, and it just started going down quickly. And I'd say even if Reddick did break back home and turn the swing, I don't know that he would have gotten to it anyway. Probably better chance of Zobrist. It just was one that dropped in front, and not much chance for either guy.
Well, the 2 players the A's got today from the Astros for Kazmir, a right-handed pitcher named Daniel Megden and a catcher named Jacob Nottingham. Someone, according to Beane, really coveted by the A's, the key to the deal. Now the pitch, and taken outside, and the count 1 ball, no strikes. To Russell Martin, who's 5 for 8 on the series.
Happy to see a catcher catching a day game after a night game. Might have been because of Russell Martin, or because of Ari Dickey.
Go to first, not inside. The other catcher is Deanna Navarro, who came in the game last night late after they pinch ran for Martin. And Navarro actually made a great throw to second base to nail Billy Burns trying to steal. Outside for a ball. Both the players the A's acquired are kids. Megden was drafted in the 4th round last year out of Texas A&M. He's 22. And the catcher Nottingham, a 6th round pick in 2013 out of high school in Southern California. Russell Martin takes a strike. We're in the second, the final game of the series. There's no score. Redlands High School for Jacob Nottingham.
He's only 20, and he's already 6'3", 230 pounds. So he might grow even more.
And he has 14 home runs this year in the minor leagues in A-ball with the 2 different clubs. Here's the pitch, and that's taken outside. And the count 3-1. Kazmir, one of the all-time deceiving records at 5-5. He pitched a whole lot better than that.
I'm sure a lot of scouts were impressed in his last start Saturday when he wanted to go out for the 9th inning, leading by just the 1-0. And unfortunately, it was a tie game. He got another decision.
Russell Martin swings and fouls it back. Full count to him, 3-2. And he said he's going to be flying to Kansas City, and he expects to start for the Astros against the Royals tomorrow. Here's the pitch by Pomeranz on the way with the runner going. It's foul back. There was one occasion here where the A's acquired a pitcher who just went from one clubhouse to the other, and that was Ricardo Rincon.
But he didn't go, though. I mean, he was traded, but he didn't want to dress to pitch, I think. Wasn't that the case?
I think he was hanging out in Voose's office.
He said, "No, I don't want to just." You know, the one that almost, and if they had played in the game, was the trade of Raleigh Fingers and Joe Rudy, Vida Blue, all that happening. Boston was in town when Rudy and Raleigh were traded. Matter of fact, Raleigh had a picture taken in his Boston uniform.
Throw to first, not in time, but that was voided.
Right. Doug McWilliams actually took the picture at the time, but Raleigh has it. And by the way, we're seeing some activity already in the A's bullpen and Dan Otero.
Yeah, 32 pitches for Drew, and I wouldn't expect him to get up any more than, let's say, 50 today. Here's the pitch. With the runner going, it's popped up foul straight back. A's and the Jays, no score. I had written the name of Raleigh Fingers in my notebook earlier today, Ray, as a member of the 300 Save Club.
That's right.
With Houston Street getting number 300 for the Angels in their ball game against the Twins last night.
Second youngest to 300 saves, behind only K-Rod, Francisco Rodriguez.
Here's the pitch to Russell Martin. Good battle here. And he swings. It's a fly ball right center. Burns going back, nearing the track, right to the wall, at the wall, looking up, and it is gone. And Russell Martin hits it out to right center field. His 14th home run, and it's 2-0 Toronto.
For him to swing the way he did, he fouled off some fastballs with 3-2 count. And he swung as if he thought he was going to get another fastball. He did. And these guys don't miss them. Whenever you continue to throw a pitch, he got a hanging breaking ball in the first game of the series on a 2-2 pitch and a 3-run home run. But this fastball to go opposite field, and he crushed it.
That's his second home run of the series. He had a 3-run shot on Tuesday night, and he has 14 for the year. When these guys hit him, Ray, they're not cheap. 125 home runs for the Blue Jays. So quickly 2-0. And here's Chris Colabello taking a strike on the outside corner. Here it is by Pomerantz, a backdoor breaking ball outside. Yeah, old K-Rod, who joined the Angels in 2002, late in the season, then was instrumental in their success in the postseason. Fastest to 300.
It's what, 62 saves? Is that the mark?
And there's a strike on the outside corner, 2-0 Toronto. Although he had some stumbles against the A's, including a memorable one here on a ball that was thrown back to the mound. Just for some reason, I don't think he ever saw the ball. And the A's scored the winning run.
My take on that is that he thought it should have been called a strike, and he was upset.
And low and inside for a ball.
As he said, don't you know who threw that pitch?
Right.
And he just casually, and then Molina threw it back to him, and Jason Kendall very sharp. The one I remember, Scott Hatteberg getting a base at the left field in Anaheim because it was running third. He wouldn't throw the curveball because it was a chase pitch. He was concerned that it'd be a wild pitch, so he'd just get fired back.
And Colabello swings and misses. Down he goes on strikes. The fourth strikeout for Pomerantz.
But Houston Street, somewhere in his home, he had his first save, got the baseball, and he's got his 300th. But in between, he has another 298 put away because he has his baseball for every save he's ever recorded in his career.
His first save was in 2005, of course, for the A's, as he replaced Octavio Dotel in the A's bullpen as the A's closer.
Rookie of the year that year.
Kevin Pillar takes the ball outside. So the single by Valencia, the home run by Russell Martin. Colabello is struck out. Pillar batting at .274. I think Octavio Dotel wound up with Tommy John surgery that year, didn't he, Ray?
He wound up with a lot of different clubs.
Foul back, yeah.
Seemed like every time a team needed a reliever to help them win, he showed up. I mean, he was just, seemed like he showed up at every team that went to postseason.
Street was drafted by the A's, #1, a sandwich pick out of Texas back in '04, and quickly got to the big leagues in '05. Now the pitch, and that's taken for a strike in the outside corner by Kevin Pillar. Good looking young player, 335 for his last 46 games. Outfield, a gap in right center. The pitch is a breaking ball, bounce foul left of the bag at third. So Otero throwing to the bullpen for the A's.
I think we all thought that Houston Street was going to be an A for a long time. And traded to the Rockies. And Matt Holliday, of course, Greg Smith and Carlos Gonzalez involved in the trade as well.
The outfield, a gap in right center. Here's a breaking ball and a fly ball at center field. Burns going back. It's playable. 10 feet from the track, and he makes the catch, and that's out number 2. That'll bring up Devin Travis.
And Houston Street continues to be the kind of closer where he didn't have overpowering stuff, but great deception and just great confidence.
Yeah.
Bob Melvin is coming out, and he wants Otero. So for Pomerantz, and this is going to be a bullpen game for the A's. He throws 44 pitches in his first start since the middle of May. The Blue Jays have taken a 2-0 lead on the home run by Russell Martin. Breaking the action, 2 out, nobody on, top of the second. And back to the Coliseum after this.
Attention, please, ladies and gentlemen.
So Bob Melvin takes Pomerantz out of the game after Drew threw 44 pitches, and Travis pops it up down the right field line into foul territory. A long run in the bullpen, and Reddick goes into the slide, and he can't corral it.
Last year the Angels used 9 relievers to beat the A's in a game. So maybe the A's can do the same thing today. They don't have 9 relievers, but last year when Garrett Richards went down, I'm trying to think of the lefty who went back and forth New York and the Angels. Attempted to fill and could not do it, and so Mike Scioscia decided to go 4-man rotation, and at that point 9 relievers against the A's, and worked well.
Yeah, Colby Rasmus's brother made a lot of those starts, right? The right-hander, Corey Rasmus. Now the pitch on the way, and that swung on bounce to the hole at short. Backhand by Simeon. Plants and throws across the diamond in time, and Travis is out 6-3. But the Jays on the board on the home run by Russell Martin, and we're going to the bottom of the second, 2-0 Toronto. The Jays have the game's only 2 hits. And Ike Davis leads it off for the A's against the knuckleballer from Tennessee. He throws, and that's taken for a strike. 20-game winner for the Mets in his Cy Young season 2012, 20-6, a 2.73, but then was dealt to the Jays for the next season. And Ike hits a ground ball to third. Wide of the bag is Donaldson. He throws the first for the A's. Of course, Ike had the game-winning hit last night.
Speed, huh?
Second for the A's on this homestand. The other was by Stephen Vogt, and Bob Melvin was watching the whole thing unfold as they went to replay in the A's video room. A lot of A's personnel crowded in there. The ruling from New York was that the call stands. But in getting the win and watching from the clubhouse, nonetheless, it was a win on Melvin's ledger. And he is now solo third on the Oakland A's managerial list. Here's Laurie, a little dribbler down the third base line, backhand, the turn by Dickey, the throw, not in time, and Brett Laurie beats it out. A momentary hesitation by Dickey and a quick throw, and Laurie can fly down the line, and it looks like the Jays are thinking about challenging this.
Call stands on the field. You know what happened, I think, is he caught the ball, which he did a good job in his glove, but as it transferred, there was a slight hesitation, and you know, the first base umpire, give him credit, and that is Pat Holbrook. He was watching the play all the way, and sometimes when there's a bobble, they're going to take a look at it. Call. That would be the crew chief, Hunter Wintelstead, and Pat Holbrook, who made the call at first. Those are the 2 umpires.
Of course, Hunter's dad was a longtime big league ump, Harry. 369 wins for Melvin as he moves past Ken Maka. Tony La Russa 798, Art House 600. And if Melvin could manage if he could manage the A's another 45 years,
Connie Mack.
He could catch Connie Mack, right?
But he'd have to go to a suit.
I think this one's got a chance to be reversed, Foss.
Well, you know what happens too is when a guy jumps, he's midair, and so his foot might not have been on the bag, but last night they were cheering when Ike Davis was called safe. Today they're going, ooh.
Yeah, I think they're going to, this will be out number 2.
If it's overturned, it would be because he was in the air as he jumped at the bag. And Ike Davis did a good job running through the bag. We shall see. As they're right now waiting, he's out.
Yep. So that will be 1-3 for the second out. Fans are booing. Can they hear that in New York, Ray?
No.
So that'll bring up Mark Canha.
I hope the same person, and I don't know, they never tell us who the umpires are back in New York, which they should on this lineup sheet that we get. However, that person at 2 o'clock this morning who made the call on Ike Davis, I hope that person didn't make this call. It might still be asleep. Oh, wait.
That's why they're building an office over in San Francisco for those guys. There's a strike in the outside corner, 0-1.
I heard it's
2-0 Toronto.
Within a couple of weeks before that happens, or should happen. I think it's going to be in the Comcast studios. Which they should for West Coast games. Right? Have people up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Now the pitch. Swung on and bounced to third. Back of the bag. Donaldson gloves it. Guns the first in time. The A's quickly retired. And after 2, the A's and the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays on top of the Athletics, 2-0. 2 innings, the Blue Jays lead the A's 2-0. We go to the third. Here's Vince.
Dan Otero into his second inning of relief behind Drew Pomeranz. And the top of the order with Reyes, Donaldson, and Bautista. Sinker ball his first pitch to the outside corner, strike one. Reyes walked and stole a base in the first. He did not score, but then the Blue Jays, a 2-run shot off the bat of Russell Martinez, giving them the early lead. The righty's delivery darts down and in. 1-1 to count on Reyes, who is the catalyst of the offense for this ball club. Though he did miss about a month because of a fractured rib earlier this year. Here's the 1-1. Swung on, bounce to the shortstop, and right there laying back onto the Simeon. Gloves, throws the first, and that's in time. And it seems like in this series, and particularly on this homestand, that we are seeing the maturing of Marcus Simeon defensively. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, and a lot of hard work. And I think we figured all along he's going to be a very good shortstop. It's just taken maybe a little bit longer, but I agree with you. He's getting the ball, he's throwing, he's making some good sharp throws, strong throws. And I think maybe that's the last part of all the work that Ron Washington's put in. Gallego working with him.
Seemed like he's just catching and reacting.
Exactly.
Now Donaldson bats. He swings at a slider away and comes up empty for strike one.
Well, you know in this game, don't think, because you think too much, and that's when bad things can happen. And I think what he was doing, when he had a lot of time, it seemed like he was, okay, I got to get the right grip and make the right footwork and all that. You just get it, throw it, which he seems to be doing a lot better now.
Donaldson struck out in the first inning. He's 4 for 10 in the series. He's down 2-0 in the third. And Otero tries another slider. It's outside. 1-1 the count. Josh's first return to the O.Co. as a visiting player. And certainly has received a lot of warmth from the A's fans, as he should, driving in more than 90 runs in back-to-back seasons with the A's. The 1-1 pitch. A strike called. It's 1-2. He's wearing an elbow brace that might make Craig Biggio, the Hall of Famer, blush. He's got one of those old school bigger elbow pads that we saw back in the Biggio Bonds days. It's a big piece of padding. Here's the 1-2. Slider low and outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Looks like something Ken Cora could wear on his knee. That brace it's more of kind of a knee brace, but versus a pad, I guess, because it's like it's an elbow brace. That's
when it has metal involved, it becomes a brace.
Yeah, right.
Here's the 2-2. Swung on, grounded right up the middle, and there in the overshift is Zobrist right behind second base, and Donaldson throws the bat in disgust and jogs up the first baseline. He's retired. Well, it's been a Dan Otero kind of day so far. 3 batters faced and 3 ground balls, and that sure is encouraging to see from the righty as he faces Jose Bautista.
There's a ground ball up the middle base. Oh no! That is amazing, the shifts. And Billy Butler has been probably lost several hits because of the shift, and they're doing it again with his right-hander.
Now Bautista, he struck out his only time up. Takes a fastball through the heart for strike one.
You know, I think it's one thing, Vinny, to see the shift, and maybe if a ball's hit the right side where a short second baseman should be or would be playing. But when you lose a game last night, as the Blue Jays did, because of the overshift and somebody throwing 97.
Here's the 0-1. Missing just wide. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I think that is the difference of these shifts. And, you know, when you start losing games, that's, to me, the big difference.
Ike Davis gave it everything he had. 1-1 breaking ball outside. Ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. And the A's exercised some more demons last night. Extra inning win.
Yeah.
1-run win against a left-handed starter. Those are all things that dug the hole for the Athletics earlier this year. 2-1 bounce to third. It's a foul ball between the base and the third base coach, Luis Rivera.
And a walk-off win that had to be delayed after the initial celebration because of the challenge. And then they all just ran straight to the dugout from the mound. I guess one celebration was enough.
I think they discussed it long enough while waiting for the near 3-minute decision to be rendered from New York. 2-2. Swung on, bounce to third. 1 big hop, and Laurie has it. Checks the seams, goes across the diamond. Dan Otero 4 up and 4 down with 4 ground ball outs onto the bottom of the third as the A's trail Toronto 2-0. start the frame against R.A. Dickey. The veteran righty's pitch is swung on and launched to left center field in the gap between Pilar and Valencia. Going into a slide is Valencia. He can't get it. It's on the track. In play, and Semien stands at second base with a leadoff double. Pounced on the first offering from Dickey and gets his 17th double of the year.
You know, what he did against Mark Burley in the first game of the series, after rolling over to change up his first at bat, hit the solid base hit on the breaking ball down the left field line the next at bat, and he talked about just trying to stay back. These guys are so strong, they do not have to try to go out and get pitches. Let them come to them, and especially a pitcher with a knuckleball.
Billy's going to stay batting right-handed against the knuckleballer. Burns bounced to short his only time up. Up at the corners, he watches a knuckler float inside, ball one. Burns' 5-game hitting streak coming into the contest and 4 for 9 in the series. He's got Donaldson and Encarnacion closing in. Oakland down 2-0 in the third. And another knuckler is inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Russell Martin, incidentally, is using the catcher's mitt model that was designed by the former A knuckleballer Steve Sparks. 2 balls and no strikes. And a pitch to the outside corner.
It's a fastball. Josh Tolley, who was the catcher for Dickey, is he sent down?
Yes.
So Russell Martin is a catcher, and only because Dickey is catching Day, it would have been Navarro catching Hutchinson.
Here's the 2-1. Knuckler, good take by Burns. Watched it disappear off the zone outside. 3 balls and a strike. Steve says the model is lighter. Curls in, so the ball, they hope in most cases, opposed to not, will not scoop out of the mitt. If only Jason Varitek had that glove with Tim Wakefield.
Still wouldn't have tried.
He sure didn't like it. The 3-1 grounded through the right side. That's a base hit. Here comes Semien around third. Bautista mishandles the ball. No play. He'll fire into second base. Semien is home. An RBI single for Billy Burns, and they cut the deficit in half. Toronto 2 and Oakland 1 on Billy's 17th RBI of the year.
Well, there's a case. We know Mike Gallego is very aggressive, and Billy Burns stayed inside on a fastball and shot it to the right side. But as a third base coach, you know the strength in the arm of Bautista in right field. Had he held him at third base, nobody out, and then he bobbles the ball, you got to be concerned. But Gags is always aggressive and getting ready for his wind-up windmill bobblehead that's going to be given away.
He is an action figure. It's not a windmill toy. Let's be clear about that.
He's in action. He was in action today.
He was in action. Yes. Now Stephen Vogt standing in. Toss back to first, and Billy gets back safely. Vogt reached on an error by Reyes back in the first inning. Speaking of that, you can send your favorite A's players home again with the Mike Gallego windmill action figure presented by Advantel Networks on Sunday, August 2nd. 15,000 fans received a one-of-its-kind giveaway, a swing and a liner foul over first base. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. The A's will take on Cleveland that day, a Sunday matinee. Get your tickets at athletics.com or call 877-493-BALL. And yes, the arm does move.
Yes, it does.
In that windmill motion made famous by Gallego.
Makes my arm hurt just thinking about doing that. But, you know, here's the case where Billy Burns a threat to steal, and you see the number of throwovers by Dickey and also coming to a set position trying to freeze Billy. But I would be surprised if he does not run sometime soon against Billy.
The set by the righty, the pitch, knuckleball fouled off to the left. The thing, too, Ray, I mean, you can relate to this. Dickey does everything he can. He's a former Gold Glover. He won that in 2013, so he fields his position well. And as we saw earlier today with the Brett Lawrie play, he does make up for the unpredictability of the pitch with quick times to the plate. But there's got to be a lot of stress for a catcher trying to receive each and every knuckleball.
Exactly.
Calling card over to first, and Burns back over easily.
Now, we talked earlier about how Russell Martin, as Buck Martinez said, watching him, how he prepares himself to throw even as the ball is coming, so he's starting to move. That's with a traditional pitcher. You can't do that with a knuckleball. You have to let the ball come to you.
And the move to first base.
Ron Karkovice, watching him with the White Sox, did a great job because he just sat back there and the ball came to him. If you try to go get it, as you're going to, it starts dropping. You can't catch it. That's what catchers really have to wait on an knuckleball.
And the pitch is grounded up the middle. That's going to sneak through to the right of Travis. Around second is Burns. He is motoring over to third base. Gets him standing without a throw. Pilar plays it back into second base. And the A's have got something going here. 3 consecutive hits, 1 run in, down 2-1. And here comes Zobrist. And we could notice that on that 2-strike pitch that Martin was imploring Dickey to get the ball down in the dirt. Well,
it did. Yeah.
Easier said than done with the unpredictability of that pitch.
It's like Chris Bassett when he hung the breaking ball to the Rockies center fielder. I think it was the left-hander got the base hit. He said, "I'm trying to bounce it."
First pitch to Zobrist, another switch hitter, batting from the right side against the righty. And it's ball 1.
The unpredictability of an off-speed pitch, especially knuckleball, to try to get the ball down, you're throwing it, you're floating it. And same with a curveball. You try to bounce it, sometimes you can't do it.
Infield looking to turn 2. A swing and a fly ball to shallow right. Burns getting in position. Batista charging and makes the catch. Burns down the line. Batista firing home. And Billy put the brakes on as a strike was sent toward the plate by Bautista and cut off by Encarnacion. With nobody out, no reason to gamble there. And challenge the strong arm of Bautista, even with Burns' speed.
And, you know, just watching Billy Burns, he did it the correct way. He sprinted down, watching all the while to see how the throw was coming in. If it's offline, where the catcher has to move to go get it, he could have continued, because at least he made an attempt to go that far.
Now Reddick, he walked on a 3-2 pitch back in the first inning. Josh is 0 for 5 in his career against Dickey. He's down 2-1 in the third. RA off the first base side of the hill. A knuckleball fouled off to the left. Strike 1.
And then just thinking about the base hit by Stephen Vogt, looking at the defense, if Travis, the second baseman was playing here at where he's right now, it would have been a double play. But he was shading more over, way towards the right side, because in anticipation of Vogt pulling the ball. But a knuckleball, you cannot anticipate where the pitch is going to be thrown. Thus, it's hard to play a shift.
0-1. It is low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Plus, I think also the infielders, when you've got a knuckleballer out there, is that you may not necessarily square it up, and you're going to get a lot of unpredictable bounces as well. A lot of topped and a lot of crazy bounces, crazy hops.
And when Vogt got the high knuckleball instead of in the dirt like Martin wanted, then that changes everything for the infield.
Here's the 1-1. Swung on lined over third, and it will fade foul into the A's bullpen. And it's now a ball and 2 strikes on Reddick.
I think what Reddick did last night with the fastball that he hit down the left field line, and with the knuckleball pitcher, the fact that he is now using the opposite field a lot more, Reddick, it should help him as he just tried to hit one down the left field line again.
2 for 5 of the series. A's down 2-1 in the third, but threatening. Runners at the corners with 1 out. Vogt is short lead at first. Burns at third. And Dickey's pitch swung out, bounce on the right side, moving to his left as Travis goes to second for 1. Their only play. Reddick across first and Burns across the plate, and it's a tie game at 2. Reddick is 56th run batted in. They force Vogt at second, but Burns is home for the Athletics, and they have tied this game on Toronto.
And really, Travis could have gone to second. He could have gone to first, but it was not going to get a double play. And Reddick hit it in the exact same spot. And just what we're talking about. Travis was playing over towards second. If he had been playing the same spot as Vogt, that would have been a double play. So I mean, it's just how, just like you said, you can't predict where the ball is going to be thrown and hit.
Now Butler stands in, chases the first offering, and sends it out of play off to the right. And it's 0-1. Billy struck out back in the first inning. So a 2-2 game. The Blue Jays did it their way with thunder. And they're second in the league in home runs. Russell Martin hit one out. The A's chipping away to get their 2 runs. A swing on a knuckler and missed by Butler. It squirted away from Martin, but no advance by Reddick at first base, and it's 0-2. Butler's had some experience against Dickey. Now 2 for 10 lifetime against him with the double. Looking for his first hit in this series. He's 0 for 9. He's red hot there for a period of time, really driving in a lot of big runs. 0-2, knuckleball poked out of play. Off to the right. The A's across the bay tomorrow. Jesse Chavez on the mound against Jake Peavy for the A's and the Giants. And first pitch is at 7:15. We'll join you from AT&T Park at 6:40 with our pregame coverage. Turning the throw back to first. A quick spin move by Dickey, not in time.
Is that Fosse then at 6:55 tomorrow?
Yeah, please tell me.
Yeah, that's it's always strange over there.
Yes,
with their unique times.
Always strange in a lot of ways.
Here's the 0-2. High knuckler outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
By the way, have they ever built bullpens outside of the playing field that they're supposed to do in a new stadium?
As soon as they build a shower in the manager's office.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a great point.
Outfield the other way on Butler. And the pitch swung on and missed. Knuckler away. The inning is over, but the A's tied up with 2 runs on 3 hits. They leave a man onto the top of the 4th inning. Josh Reddick tied it up, and on to the 4th, a 2-2 game. Double against R.A. Dickey. He scored the first of 2 runs for the A's. And now we start anew, 2-2. In the 4th, and Otero faces Encarnacion, Valencia, and Martin. Encarnacion struck out his only time up. Otero's pitch in there for a strike. Good slider from the righty. Went down and got the work in at AAA Nashville, a spot that no major leaguer wants to do. He sent back to the minors. Fastball outside. 1 ball, 1 strike, and he gave a lot of credit, as several players have, we've learned over this year, to Barry Zito.
Yeah.
Cy Young Award winner, 37, 38 years of age. The 1-1. Fastball hit high in the air to left center field. Not deep. It's going to stay in the park for Burns. He's over in the alley. He'll make the catch. And there's 1 away. And the way that Dan talked about it, he said, look, this guy has had so many big wins, 150-plus wins in the big leagues, whatever the number is, and the Cy Young Award, pitched in the postseason for the Giants and for the A's. And he's back there charting pitches. He's living the AAA lifestyle, getting up on the early flights. And said, how could you not be inspired just to get your job done and do the things that you needed to do? And in Dan's case, not necessarily tweaking any grips or anything, but just getting a little more conviction and confidence.
Now batting, number 55, Russell Martin.
Broken bats, Ray.
Steve Vucinich gets them, and then they x-ray them, find out why the heck they're breaking the way they are. Scary.
There's a protocol, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Slider outside of Martin, who homered with a man on to the second and was his 14th of the year.
In Rohnert Park, Redwood Pioneers, they would put him into a trash can and
sell him.
No, then they'd light him, and the guys in the bullpen would have a little warmth down there.
They don't get the heaters like they have here?
No.
Down the bullpens?
Here's the 1-1. Lined up the first base side, a fair ball heading toward the corner. And Martin will dig around first. The ball kicks off the side wall as Reddick plays it back in from foul territory. And Martin has been red hot in the series. His 7th hit in 10 at-bats against the A's. And this afternoon he's homered and now double the first to reach base against Otero.
Number 15, Chris.
Well, 2 balls the opposite field. Home run to right center, a double to right field. Halfway to the cycle.
You had to say that, didn't you?
That's why you guys were showing Vinny the other night, right? When
right.
Shin-Soo Choo hit for the cycle.
Well,
it is apropos to talk about that while the A's take on the Blue Jays, because that's where it happened.
That's right.
Watching Jeff Fry stop at first base.
How about that?
On a double.
Well, just because one guy did it.
Yeah, just because one. You're right. There's Chris Colabello. First pitch lined over first base, and that will get down on the stripe. A fair ball, and the Blue Jays are back in front. Martin around third. He scores easily. Colabello is 36th RBI on his 13th double. Some bad luck for Dan Otero, and the Blue Jays lead it again 3-2.
What are the odds of 2 exactly same pitches, inside-out swings, and both land the exact same spot, just inside the line? And just could not slice it up, probably because they got a semi-jammed and then really hit the ball hard to where it would slice into foul territory. Sometimes you make the right pitch, the good location, and things don't work out.
So 2 outs and nobody on. And then back-to-back doubles, and the Blue Jays are back in front now, 3-2. And here comes Kevin Pillar. A fastball strike over the inside corner on this right-hand hitter.
The one thing Dan Otero likes to do, a number of ground ball outs today, which he has 5, he likes to throw the sinker down and into the right-handers, get the sink, so he gets the rollover in the ground balls. But the 2 have stayed up, and the hitters have stayed inside, going to right field.
Next pitch, a wave and a miss, off speed, a big cut by Pillar, and it's 0-2. Pillar, the last batter to face Pomerantz, who was rushed into an emergency start today with the trade of Scott Kazmir to the Astros. 0-2 fastball, strike 3, caught on the outside corner. Pillar throws the bat and the helmet, doesn't like the call for Marvin Hudson, and the inning is over. 1 run, 2 doubles, and a man left. Colabello gets the job done. The A's will try to respond. Bottom of the 4th, 3-2 Blue Jays. Brought to you by the beautiful Waterfront Hotel in Oakland's Jack London Square. Visit waterfronthoteloakland.com and enter the promo code baseball and save on your next stay. Garrett Richards, who had a 2-hit shutout his last time out there for the Angels, who have won 7 in a row, losing to the former Angel Irvin Santana. Minnesota 3-0 over the Halos. In the bottom of the 5th, a Trevor Plouffe home run, his 13th of the year. Knuckleball to Lowry rather. It's on the inside corner, strike one.
Speaking of Jed Lowry.
Yeah, started the rehab.
Where's he going to play when he comes back?
It's a good question. Next pitch swung on, fly ball to center. Pilar going back. He's got a read on it, stepping onto the track, makes the catch. As Brett made a bid for his 9th long ball, but just a bit shy. There are 2 outs for Mark Canha.
And that's similar to Mark Burley pitch in the first game of the series. As a hitter, you have to provide your own power. Burley throws, Zobrist hit a ball, think it's going to go, and just like that one. I mean, when a hitter gets something off speed, and it's not a 94, 95 fastball where the pitcher's providing the power, and you put a good swing, that's the result. It just does not make it out. Or you have to try to pull it the shorter distance.
Now Mark Canha, he bounced to third base his only time up. Oakland down 3-2 here in the 4th inning. And the veteran righty to the plate. And the knuckler drives one in there. It's 0-1. Yankees today beat Baltimore 9-3. The Yankees sweep the Orioles, who are now 7 back and 2 games under 500. New York, meanwhile, has won 4 in a row. 1-strike pitch. Slower knuckleball, that time at 66 miles an hour. It missed wide, and it's 1-1. He will do that upon occasion, but he throws what is considered more of a harder paced knuckler than most who use that pitch. Here's the 1-1. Knuckleball popped up behind third. Donaldson looking up with a high sky as the sunglasses gleaming, makes the catch off to the side. And the A's go 1-2-3. We're through 4. Dickey's still standing in a special start for him one day early. And the Blue Jays lead at 3-2. Through 4, 3-2. Dan Otero back out there, and once again, here's Ken.
Devin Travis leads it off, a right-handed hitter. The second baseman for the Jays takes a strike on the outside corner. 9-1-2. Travis, Reyes, and Donaldson. Travis 0 for 1. He bounced to short in the second. He was the first batter faced by Otero with Pomerantz on a pitch count. The emergency starter. He went 1 2/3 for the A's today.
10 batters for Dan Otero, 10 first pitch strikes. Not like Phil Hughes, 18 for 18 to start the game the other night.
Here's the pitch to Travis. That's swung on and fouled back. This kid has a chance to be an awfully good player, Ray.
Yes, he does.
Really impressive during the series, offensively and defensively.
His defense at second base has been outstanding. John Gibbons introduced me to him on Tuesday night and said this kid can play. And I guess when your manager says that, that's a pretty good endorsement.
He played in Double-A last year in the Tigers system, but really was blocked as far as getting a big league opportunity by Ian Kinsler.
Yeah.
And so he was available, and the outfielder Anthony Gose went to Detroit. Here's the pitch, and Otero fires and misses outside.
Arnold Leon showed up. He was listening in a bullpen.
That was the transaction today after the A's dealt Kazmir to the Astros. They called up Arnold Leon from the AAA ball club.
Nice young man. Good to see him back.
Otero to the plate. Swung on and bounced foul left to the bag at third. The A's against the Giants tomorrow over in San Francisco at 7:15. If you look at, well, we're 8 days from the deadline, this being the 23rd. The outfield toward right for Travis. Otero to the plate, and that's taken on the outside corner. Ring him up. He knew it. Strike 3 called. But where would, if you're 500 right now, where are you? Well, in the case of the Blue Jays,
you're old.
Now batting.
That's right.
But I know.
I guess at that point you would have immortality status.
You really wouldn't care
right?
about the standings.
That's right.
Now, but you're right.
But,
that's the tough decisions for clubs. You're right.
Here's the pitch to Jose Reyes, a switch hitter batting left. Around a bunt, takes a strike. But 500 right now gets you, and the Blue Jays are exactly at 500. 3 games behind the second wild card.
Right. Which is doable. I mean, there's a lot of baseball left. You have 2 full months plus the 8 days.
And that's outside for a ball. Count 1-1. 3-2 Toronto. A game under Baltimore. They're 3.5. Cleveland's 4.5 back of the wild card. Texas is 5 back. The A's 7 behind the second wild card. And everything has become bunched up since the All-Star break. Now the pitch is bounced down to short. Charging Simeon. He's got it. Plants throws to first. No time 2 away. Because Minnesota, after beating the A's on Friday night, the Twins haven't won a game since.
Yeah.
They still occupy the second wild card spot. The Astros have the first spot. So Simeon takes care of Reyes, and that'll bring up Donaldson.
And Ken, the one thing the second wild card does, while it's important for all clubs, and especially trying to get, let's see if they call time of the ball in left field down in the warning track. Nobody sees it yet, so looks like they will continue.
The pitch to Josh, and that's dribbled foul straight back.
But the thing is, with the 2 wild cards now, it eliminates the wild card in the past before the second, going straight to the division series and having 5 games to determine whether you advance or not. Now it's the 1 game, so it's really important to win the division, so you at least are going to have a 5-game series. But the other wild card, most wild cards keep teams involved.
Swung on and missed the breaking ball away. Yeah, initially I was thinking, no, you don't need to add 1 more team to the postseason because you hate to devalue the regular year. But I think ironically, by adding the second wild card, it's made the regular season more important.
Absolutely.
The division is big. Outside for a ball.
I think that's the biggest thing. Now if they could take 1 step further, and that's expand the first round of the division series to 7 games. Go 7-7-7.
You'd like that?
I'd love it. I mean, I think it's not because of what the A's have not had success in game 5s, but boy, you get down a game or 2, you're pretty much done in the division series.
Here's the pitch, swung on and foul back, out of play. 3-2 Toronto. Although sadly, the A's disproved that.
Right.
By jumping ahead in a couple of those.
No, I agree. But I still think, in all fairness, if you're going to play a whole season, and remember at one time the league championship series was a 5-game.
Sure. Yeah.
So you won the division.
In your day.
Exactly. You had to win the best of 5.
Donaldson, it's a high fly ball to right center deep. Burns going back at the track, turning, and he will watch. And Donaldson has hit it out. And 4-2 Toronto. And their second homer today, and number 23 for Josh Donaldson, and right over the 388 mark in right center field. Well, you make a mistake with these guys, Ray.
Well, and Donaldson had talked about how Roger centered, and Bob Melton's going to make a move, but he has talked about using the whole field where, of course, it happens to be a day game, and 2 home runs to right center field on this day game at the Coliseum. Not surprised to see it carry.
So a pitching change. Arnold Leon has been summoned from the bullpen. 2 out. Top of the 5th inning. The Jays lead the A's 4-2. Leon trots in from the bullpen, and we'll come back to the Coliseum after this. Twenty-third home run this year has given the Blue Jays a 4-2 lead. Jose Bautista comes up against the right-hander Arnold Leon. Just rejoined the ball club this morning after the trade of Kazmir. His 4th stint with the A's this year, and the pitch taken outside in AAA in Nashville. 1-4, a 3.46 ERA. 15 games, including 6 starts. Most recently, he was working out of the bullpen. Arnold Leon out of Mexico delivers. There's a strike on the outside corner. He's fought back from Tommy John surgery. He's pitched in the WBC for Mexico. 1-1 the count. Here's the pitch by Leon on the way, and it's popped up. That's over our heads. We'll pause 10 seconds to allow our stations to identify themselves on the Oakland A's radio network. Along with Vince Cotroneo and Ray Fosse, I'm Ken Korak. It's great to have you with us. Here's Leon's pitch. Breaking ball swung on and missed. He strikes out Bautista, but Donaldson increases the lead for the Blue Jays with a solo shot. And we're halfway through our ball game today after 4.5. The Blue Jays lead the A's 4-2. Donaldson and Russell Martin have homered for the Blue Jays today. R.A. Dickey goes to work in the bottom of the 5th. Marcus Semien leads off for the Athletics. Semien, Burns, and Vogt. And the pitch by Dickey is taking a strike on the outside corner knuckleball. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Athletics have 3 hits. The Blue Jays have 5.
And those hits came in the inning which the A's tied the score, trying to do it again with the same part of the batting order.
That was the 3rd, and a swing and a miss on a knuckleball. If you look at Dickey up close, he looks a lot to me like the actor Timothy Busfield. You notice that, Rick?
No.
Here's the pitch, and swung on and missed, and down on strikes.
Maybe
is Semien.
I don't know Timothy Busfield. Maybe that's the reason.
Like a younger Timothy Busfield.
Can you Google
maybe from? Yeah, you could Google the picture. Maybe from his West Wing days.
Center fielder.
You don't know Timothy Busfield? You?
What do you mean, me?
The brother in Field of Dreams?
And the White House reporter in the West Wing.
Sorry.
Among other roles. Here's the pitch to Billy Burns, and he takes a strike on the inside corner. 0-1. Burns 1 for 2.
You have to sell the farm, Ray. That guy.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know who you're talking about.
It's baseball, Ray. Foul back by Burns.
I didn't know that was his name, but he had a red beard, didn't he?
Yeah.
So how do you think this guy looks like him? He's got a dark beard.
Google the two of them and put their pictures next to each other.
Oh, he just got it.
So Dickey ready from the first base side of the rubber, and the knuckleball is swung on and missed by Burns. He strikes out.
Oh, he was younger in the movie.
Back-to-back Ks.
That's why he was younger in the movie.
Well, most of us were younger at one time, my friend.
Not 500.
You will lose this farm, Ray.
Here's Vogt.
Who are these guys? I don't see anybody.
Stephen Vogt has reached on an error and singled. First base side of the rubber. The windup and the pitch by Busfield is outside. And the count 1-0.
I wonder if Busfield can throw a knuckleball. Probably not.
Most people have experimented with it.
Seiko did. Look what happened to him.
Here's the pitch. And lifted foul left side out of play. Is he still playing like an occasional game up in independent ball?
Isn't he doing the late Bob Feller act where he shows up and takes batting practice and you get to try to pitch? I don't know. He's doing something in independent ball where he shows up and takes BP.
Now the pitch, here it is. And Vogt swings and misses. 1-2 to Stephen. There's some thin clouds above the ballpark. Not blocking the sun at all right now. As Dickey's pitch is low and inside. R.A. Dickey. Remember the whole deal about when he was drafted by Texas, and then on the physical there was an issue with his ligament. He did not get the money that he was expecting.
Didn't handle it.
Yeah, here's the pitch, swung on and missed. And Stephen Vogt strikes out, and Dickey strikes out the side.
I think he's made up for the money he didn't get.
I would think so. He also has a Cy Young Award. And after 5 complete, the Blue Jays lead the A's 4-2.
Hey, this might be the last game of this homestand, but we've got a couple of great
Jays leading at 4-2. Encarnacion leads it off. They shift the infield. 3 infielders on the left side, and the pitch by Arnold Leon on the way and taken inside 1-0. They have a big homestand coming up. They'll be in San Francisco for 3 beginning tomorrow night. Then they go down south and play the Dodgers. The pitch by Leon is a high fly ball way up into the air, deep left center field. Burns turning at the wall, and it's going to be off the top of the wall. Encarnacion cruising into second base. A mile-high double that grazed the wall in left center field.
And just looking at it as it happened, looked like it was a catchable ball, maybe a little miscommunication. I don't know if it was that high up on the wall. We're going to get a chance to look at a replay at house, but it looked like initially day game it might have a chance to go out, but it kind of split Burns and Canna, center and left, trying to see how far it hit up on the wall.
It was pretty far up.
Yeah, probably too far to jump and catch it.
I don't think it was playable. Encarnacion, when he hit it, he thought it was out.
Yeah.
18,045 today. 18,045. It was up on the second panel.
Yeah, exactly above that. Initially it looked like it was below that, but watching the replay it showed it.
Here's Danny Valencia, and the pitch by Leon is swung on, dribbled by the mound towards second, charging Zobrist to flip to first for the out. Over to third goes Encarnacion. Valencia is out. That'll bring up Russell Martin.
It's like Plouffe when he hit the grand slam off Sonny Gray. He stood at home plate like, it's an easy, and it just barely made it up on the ledge in left field.
I didn't think it was going out.
I didn't either. I mean, it was nighttime.
Now batting.
Had the elevation, but I mean, it's going to be a sac fly, but he stood like, I got a grand slam. It was, but it was too close to be doing that. That's a good play by Valencia. Inside out again. Going to the right side with the ground ball.
The little things can add up in this game. Right. The A's have to bring the infield in. Here's Russell Martin, who of course is a tough out. He's homered and doubled. He has 7 hits in the series. Over at third base is Encarnacion, and Martin, it's a deep drive into right. Reddick going back. He's to the track. He has a play, and he makes the catch. That'll score the run. Reddick halfway on the track in front of the out-of-town scoreboard. A sac fly plating Encarnacion, and 5-2 Toronto.
And to think he was not supposed to play tonight. So we can blame Hutchinson. Who knows what Navarro would have done, but Martin was going to get the day off. But Navarro doesn't catch knuckleballers, so that's what happens, and that's the kind of day Russell Martin has had. Involved in all 3 of the runs in it.
He can play, huh? He's really good.
Well, his approach today is exactly the reason he is as good as he is.
Here's Colabello, a ground ball up the middle, and by a diving Simeon, a base hit to center field. They're swinging early in the count. So they've amended the attendance figure. 19,045.
Next inning 20.
Now batting.
Here's Kevin Pillar, who's 0 for 2.
I don't know if they had 1,000 people going to the concession stands. They didn't count them. Mike Selleck making the announcement to change the attendance.
It's a good concessions day.
Yeah.
Here's the pitch to Pillar, and that's swung on and missed. Talking about the next homestand, Ray. After the A's play the Giants and Dodgers on the road, the A's are back for 11 against Cleveland, Baltimore, and Houston. Leon out of the stretch, and Vogt sets up outside. The pitch is sprayed foul to the right. 2-game series with the Dodgers next Tuesday and Wednesday. The A's expect to see Clayton Kershaw in one of those games.
Wednesday to be the Wednesday game. That was supposed to be Kazmir against Kershaw. Unless Kazmir comes back between now and then, but he'll be pitching for Houston. But yeah, that was the scheduled matchup. Of course, Kazmir traded this morning.
Here's Pillar taking high. 1-2 to Kevin Pillar. 5-2 in favor of the Blue Jays. Fireworks show coming up during the Cleveland series on July 31st on a Friday night at 6:35. Set to a 90s musical theme. Now Leon, breaking ball bounced up the middle, back a second. Zobrist, a backhand pickup. Thrown out in time. Everybody is safe on a slow developing play on a ball that was hit up the middle. And Pillar can run. He beats it out. Colabello goes to second. And the Blue Jays have runners at first and second with 2 out. And that'll bring up Travis.
Well, it's just a matter of a turn for a pitcher, and you see the guys that win Gold Gloves, and whenever they pitch, they're in a fielding position. And how many times you see a ball go right over the rubber, over the mound, but it's the momentum of a pitcher, and of course anybody with any velocity is going to fall off to the side. Greg Max, of course, 15, 16 Gold Gloves.
You can save a lot of runs if you're just ready to field your position. And the pitch taken outside, 1-0. And you might save yourself from an injury.
That's true. Greg Maddux had that pitch and kind of a little bit of a hop where he squared himself to the plate. He became a fielder.
2 on, 2 out. Leone deals. It's swung on. Here's the pop up down the right field line. A long run. Reddick crossing the foul line. Goes into a dive and makes a sensational catch in the Toronto bullpen. A full out dive by Reddick crossing the foul line. He got himself parallel to the ground, and he made a wonderful catch for the final out of this top of the 6th inning. Reddick just the full extension. Got himself airborne. Great play. But the Jays add to their lead, and we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. It's 5-2 Toronto. Zobrist leads off for the A's in the 6th against Dickey. Takes inside 1-0, 5-2 Toronto. Zobrist, Reddick, and Butler. The A's trying to get something going against the knuckleballer. And Dickey throws, and a knuckler squirts away from Russell Martin. Back to the screen, and the count 2-0. Phenomenal play by Reddick, ending the top of the inning. Zobrist is 0 for 2, and like Billy Burns, a switch hitter batting right against Dickey. And the pitch. And that's a strike on the outside corner. And the count 2-1. Dickey turns into the plate. Inside, back to the screen. The Yankees beat Baltimore today 9-3. Minnesota leads the Angels 3-0 in the 8th inning. The Halos haven't lost since the break. And now Dickey's 3-1 pitch is a chopper to short. Charging is Reyes. He's got it. Off balance, falls in time. And Zobrist is out 6-3. And that'll bring up Reddick. We've been talking about Houston Street joining the 300 save club last night for the Angels. And also with we're on the doorstep of the resumption of interleague play with the A's against the Giants tomorrow night. May 19th of 06. Strike on the outside corner taken by Reddick, and the count 0-1.
What happened then, Ken?
Does that ring a bell to you?
No.
With Houston Street and the Giants. And there is a pitch taken outside, and the count 1-1, 5-2 Toronto.
1-0 game.
Great pitchers duel between two former teammates in college at Pepperdine. Dan Herron and Noah Lowry. The A's had a 1-0 lead in the 9th inning, and Houston Street gets the save.
Throwing a changeup to Barry Bonds.
Yep, on a 1-2 pitch.
That's right. That I remember. Nobody in the world thought they were going to do it right here, right?
Yep. Here's the pitch to Reddick, and it's outside. He got Omar Vizquel, Steve Finley, and Barry Bonds in the 9th inning. Danny Herron went to 8 innings. He allowed 2 hits. The 2-2 delivery, and it's a line drive to left center field, sinking for a base hit. You know, Reddick is really having a good year, Ray.
Well, that kind of a hit right there is one of the reasons. He's a smart hitter, 2-strike, and you know how rare is it for him to strike out and get another 2-strike pitch. Instead of trying to open up, he just takes it and goes opposite field. That means he stays on the ball longer, and just another opposite field hit. And I think that's a big credit to him. He's healthy and a very smart hitter, especially going to the opposite field.
Here's Billy Butler's 0 for 2, a swing and a miss.
How about the Olmedo Signs home run to left center field?
Well, that was one of Bill's greatest calls.
I know.
The only way they could score Jaha is if Signs takes him deep. He might have.
He did. Yeah, that was a thing of beauty.
That was off Rob Nen, wasn't
Rob
it?
Nen, exactly.
Foul back by Butler, out of play to the right. You know, the Giants catcher in that game when Street got the save was Mike Matheny.
That's right. That's right. Wearing the hockey style mask. Turned out to be a great manager. Pretty good club in St. Louis, but a very good manager. One of 14 former catchers manager.
Here's Butler, a ground ball near the bag at second. Reyes is on the bag and over the first, and Taylor made a 6-3 double play. So quickly the bottom of the 6th is over on the twin killing. Started by Reyes, and after 6 it's 5-2 Toronto. Seventh inning. Once again, here's Vince.
And Arnold Leon back to work for the Athletics, and the top of the order starting with Jose Reyes for the Blue Jays. The right-hander over the top out of the windup, a check swing and a tapper right back to Leon. Glove steps and throws. One pitch retires Reyes, and that'll bring Josh Donaldson to the plate.
A lot of entertainment here on a daily basis. The daily jawing between Ray Fosse and Eddie Montague.
Well, he just gave you a little tidbit about the roommate, because he's listening, so he heard your story about catcher Dan Herron, Pepperdine. It was his son. Eddie Montague Jr. was Dan Herron's roommate.
With Noah Lowry.
Yeah, with Lowry, right. Is that Lowry or Lowry?
that Noah or Jed? First pitch to Donaldson, breaking ball strike. He homered his last time up, his 23rd of the year, giving him 65 RBIs. He's overshipped, 3 on the right side for this right-handed slugger. And Leon back to the plate, inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Today, of course, the A's announced the trade of Scott Kazmir to the Astros for 2 players that'll be on the A's Stockton team in the California League. Here's the 1-1. This ball inside again. A pitcher, right-hander out of Texas A&M, Dan Megden, and a catcher, Jacob Nottingham, who is out of high school in Redlands. He turned down both a baseball and football college scholarship at 2 different universities. 2-1 is outside. And it's now 3 balls and a strike. Nottingham, who, as we mentioned, 6'3", 230 pounds, who's going to play football at Arizona.
He can do anything he wants to do.
Or baseball at Oklahoma.
He's got nothing on Fosse, who turned down Bear Bryant.
Here's the 3-1. Get out of play off to the right. And what's smart?
How do you turn down Bear Bryant?
Just say no.
Did you meet him face to face?
But not during the recruiting process. I met him when I was playing for the Yankees, which was a tremendous memory. 8 years after I was recruited to go to school there.
The wind, the payoff. A slider freezes Donaldson. He is gone a looking. He thought he had ball 4. He shoots a look back to Marvin Hudson, but Leon got him, and there's 2 outs in the inning. Well, I'm sure it's different for you as an adult at that point, playing in Major League Baseball as opposed to an impressionable teenager meeting Bear, and what that might have been like.
But the difference was in '65 when I was recruited to go to Alabama, turned it down, was offered a baseball scholarship, turned that down. They said if you ever get you on the campus, you'll play football.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Pitch outside from Leon, ball 1 on Bautista.
At 73, Jim Bank was our traveling secretary. We went into Alabama player at double 18. We walked out of the restaurant, about 10 of us, and Bear Bryant was there talking to Jimmy Bank and his dad, his good friend.
Righty's 1-0. Slider hit in the air to left. It's not deep. Canna has a play. Bautista's retired. And 1, 2, 3 go the Blue Jays, and more on Ray Fosse's life with Bear Bryant when we come back in the bottom of the 7th. A's trail 5-2. Ike Davis will start the bottom of the 7th. A's trailing at 5-2. And Brett Laurie and Mark Canna. R.A. Dickey, I would imagine if Preston Aduti could probably pitch tomorrow as well with that knuckler. Here's pitch fouled back for strike 1. More moves today as we get closer to the trading deadline. Reported that Adaramas Ramirez is now going to be a Pittsburgh Pirate, leaving the Milwaukee Brewers.
Wow.
There's the 0-1. Swing and a miss. Their former #1 pick, Pedro Alvarez, has been not the player they hoped he would be on a consistent basis. They moved him over to first base. Josh Harrison is out with the Pirates, and Ramos Ramirez, who says this is his last year, now a chance to leave Milwaukee and go back into a pennant race.
He'll retire as a Pirate.
0-2, swung up, bounced on the right side, and from shallow right field, charging in is Travis. He throws it a little bit high, a changeup, but Encarnacion gloves it, and there's one out. So more on Ray Fosse and Bear Bryant.
Just quickly, the fact that 8 years later, we walk out of the restaurant and Jim Banks talking to the great Bear Bryant, and I'm in awe, you know.
Houndstooth.
Oh, he had the whole thing, and so Jimmy said, Coach Bryant, I'd like to introduce you to some of the A's players. And he came around and introduced Sal and Joe and Gene and all those. This was Ray Fosse. He goes, didn't we want you to come to our school in '65? I mean, he threw it out.
In his voice, I can imagine. First pitch outside on Laurie, ball one.
But I said, wait a minute, I never met you. But they said he was so brilliant as far as yardage with all the games and the quarters and stuff like that. He's just a brilliant man.
1-0, Knuckler way inside. Pushes Laurie back. Former Blue Jay against the veteran right-hander R.A. Dickey. 5-2 Toronto in the 7th.
I see the size of these football players. I couldn't even imagine playing that sport.
Here's a 2-0 on the outside edge. Well, to that point, Jacob Nottingham said earlier this year, part of the reason why he didn't want to go and play football at Arizona, he didn't want to put on the kind of weight they were asking him to do.
Upper body.
2-1, swung on, hit toward right center field, chasing Pilar back toward the alley, onto the track. He's there, and he makes an over-the-shoulder grab for the second out.
Well, I was told when Pete Elliott was at the University of Illinois before some things happened there, and I was offered a scholarship, and he said, we could put 25 pounds on you, you won't even know it. Well, that's all upper body, because I had the legs, so that would have put me at about 235, 240, but I'd never thrown a baseball again, because you get so upper body strong and tight, it really inhibits your throwing, and you have to have that as a baseball player.
And by the way, the A's A-ball team, Stockton, is playing Lancaster today, which is the Astros opponent. So just take your bag and go down the hall to the other clubhouse is how it's working out today for Nottingham and Dan Megden.
And take that first-class ticket, put it in your pocket.
1-0 the count on Canna. He's down by 3, and a fastball in there for a strike. And it's 1-1.
Plus, you would have missed Joe Namath by a year at Alabama, so maybe if Joe had still been there.
My body hurts from playing baseball. I can't even imagine. That's really.
Here's the 1-1. Swung on, fouled off to the right. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Today it's been again the thunder of the Blue Jays getting home runs from Martin and Donaldson. And they've hit a total of 6 long balls in this series. The A's looking for their first. And you hope that maybe good pitching would stop good hitting. It did to a certain degree last night. 1-2 offer, broken bat soft liner on 1 bounce to Reyes. The shortstop plays it back, throws the first. The A's go in order, and we are through 7. Blue Jays in front, 5-2. System, part of the A's Minor League Report, brought to you by Sharp Investments. Visit WeLikeValue.com to see how Sharp Investments can help you achieve value in your investment portfolio. On to the 8th, 5-2 Toronto. Taking the rest of the way, here's Ken.
And Encarnacion lays it off and takes outside for ball one. Encarnacion, Valencia, and Martin against Leon. Third pitcher for the A's today. The A's shift the infield, and the pitch to Encarnacion is hit foul to the right, out of play.
Now I have to ask, last night did Vinny say after 7 take you the rest of the way, and then he has the walk-off in the 10th?
He always has the 10th.
Well, so let's not just assume he's going to take it the rest of the way, because you're going to get the walk-off again. Maybe.
There are times when he says, I'm going to fly the plane. Here's a high pop-up in the short left field.
I'm not so sure we'll see that this year.
He's under it, waiting for it, and he makes the catch.
That's right.
Encarnacion flies out.
Going to fly to San Francisco from Oakland.
Controls are there if you like to fly the plane.
Yeah.
Nobody's stopping you.
It's like when Ricky was talking about stealing the bases. He said, it's like, I realize it's like flying an airplane. You know, you just come in and low, and I said, Ricky, you're not going to fly any airplanes. He said, no, I'm just going to steal bases.
He also measured the steps, how many steps it would take between first and second.
But the pounding he took on his chest, he almost had to be landing an airplane to avoid really pounding his chest and stomach.
Here's Danny Valencia, right-handed hitter. 5-2. Blue Jays have the lead. The pitch by Leon is swung on and line one hop, taken at second. Zobrist goes to first in time for the out. That's it for Danny Valencia, and that'll bring up Russell Martin.
Walking. He's had a day.
He's had 3 games.
Yes, he has.
7 for 10, 2 home runs. 3 more ribbies in the ball game here today. 5 runs, 8 hits, and error for the Jays. 2 runs, 4 hits, and no errors for the Athletics. Leon has thrown 28 pitches. Pomerantz went 1 2/3. Otero went 3 innings. And the pitch to Russell Martin is taken for a strike on the outside corner. He's from the province of Ontario. Here's the pitch by the right-hander, foul back, out of play.
Talking about anniversaries, is this not the Mark Burley perfect game anniversary?
It is.
Today? How about that? Where's Dwayne Wise?
Well, what a catch.
Oh. That might be one of the best all-time in the perfect game.
Here's the pitch, and taken outside for a ball.
And who hit it?
Gabe Kapler.
That's right. Same one to shortstop.
Exactly.
And the final out was a shortstop. Ramirez, not the rookie Cliff Pennington, on the Dallas Braves perfect game.
And outside for a ball.
It's Kapler, that's right.
Well, we'll see Gabe when we head down to L.A. because he's in their front office now as their director of minor leagues, and he lives in Southern California.
Burley's perfect game was in 09 against Tampa Bay. His no-hitter was in 07 against Texas. Swung on and hit down the right field line. That's a foul ball by inches. Somebody was asking me on an interview the other day about calling no-hitters, and I said, well, I've only called one, and that was Braden's perfect game, and he was surprised by that. And the reality was the A's had gone 2 decades between no-hitters, because Dave Stewart had no-hit the Blue Jays in 1990.
That's a good point. Yep. In Toronto, Fernando Valenzuela no-hit that evening, so still got to enjoy it about 3 hours.
Arnold Leon delivers. It's a ground ball down to short right to Simeon. He cradles it first to first for the out. Leon has a 1-2-3 inning, and he's retired 7 straight. We go to the bottom of the 8th. The A's have some work to do, and the A's trail the Blue Jays 5-2. Live streaming sports service is celebrating 13 years. Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Bottom of the 8th inning. Simeon leads off for the A's against R.A. Dickey with the A's trailing 5-2, and the pitch is low, and it's 1-0. 8 hits for the Blue Jays and 4 hits for the A's. Dickey's pitch, and the knuckleball is in for a strike, and the count 1-1. Eric O'Flaherty, the left-hander, is throwing in the bullpen for the A's. Dickey's pitch is waved at by Simeon, and it's 1-2.
You know, with Dickey having lost 10 games coming into today's contest and pitching on normal rest, but getting the start today.
Here's the pitch, and there's a swing, and down on strikes is Simeon for the second time.
But you know what I've seen in this game with Dickey? It's like he was tentative at the beginning, but as the game has progressed, especially with the Blue Jays retaking the lead after the A's are tied at the 2, then he starts throwing that real slow knuckleball, harder knuckleball, and it's like, whew, taking a deep breath, kind of relaxing, because he's done a great job getting the double play after the A's Reddick had single. But I mean, the A's really have done nothing since they scored the 2 runs.
Here's Billy Burns hitting a bloop down the right field line. That's going to fall for a base hit. Over to get it is Bautista. Burns turning at first, going to second to dive, and the ball gets away from Reyes. And safe at second is Burns, and Reyes goes down. He might be hurt. Some daring on the base paths by Burns, especially with the A's down by 3 runs. Bautista came up throwing. The ball eluded the try of Reyes, and he's down, and they're tending to him now near the bag at second. It's a double for Billy Burns.
Well, he was taking his hand to his face, and I don't know if the ball, he grabbed his head, his face, and if Billy sliding into him or the ball hitting him. But Bautista with a very strong arm, they hit first slide, so that wouldn't have been it. So a ball must have gotten it.
Well, the ball came to Reyes right as Burns was diving in toward the bag. So it all kind of happened simultaneously.
Hit off the Billy's back as he was diving.
And then I think Billy might have hit the ankle of Reyes and caused him to tumble over. Anyway, George Poulos, the head athletic trainer for the Blue Jays, is out there along with their skipper John Gibbons.
Yeah, I think what happened again, they're attending to, looks like above his left eye.
Okay.
But the ball hit the back of Billy Burns as he was sliding, and then carried up on to the face of Reyes. Got him on the left side, and he went down, and as he spun and hit the ground, I think more of the ball hitting him in the face.
Good call there, Ray. So the A's have a 1-out double, and you mentioned the single by Reddick in the 6th inning. And this is just the second hit. The Reddick single, the double here by Burns in the 8th. Only 2 hits for the Athletics since the 3rd inning. And Dickey is going to make a couple of tosses to stay loose out there as they continue to look at the shortstop Jose Reyes.
You talk about daring, and thing that Billy Burns has not stopped, and that is his daring base running. You look at Saturday night when he had doubled. He doubled or singled, he doubled, and then stole third with the left-handed hitter. He's already in scoring position in a tie game of the 10th inning. A daring steal of third that if the throw is on the bag like Navarro did last night when he threw him out, he's out of third. Instead, the ball was up a little bit. By the time of throw by Plouffe, the tag was dropped. Then bottom line, he was safe, and that was it.
Well, Bob Melvin has a lot of faith in Billy Burns.
Yes, he does.
And he generally has the green light. So they're going to take Reyes out of the game. And Ryan Goins is going to replace him at shortstop. So Ryan Goins now playing short for Toronto. For the Blue Jays, 5 runs, 8 hits, and error. The A's 2 runs on 5 hits and no errors. You know, we were just talking about Street and save number 300 and how in that game that ended with the A's beating the Giants 1-0 back in 06 that Mike Matheny was catching. for San Francisco. His playing career ending prematurely because of the concussions. And Mike Aldrete, who was given the lineup card after Bob Melvin was ejected last night, he was Matheny's bench coach in St. Louis.
That's right.
And he said there were maybe 7 occasions during that time when he was handed the reins after Matheny was kicked out.
Such a nice guy, mild-mannered guy, Mike Matheny. Why would he get ejected? No, it's getting the heat of the game. Those things are going to happen.
So here's Stephen Vogt, a left-handed hitter, with the A's down by 3 in the 8th, and the pitch high for ball 1. Meanwhile, when the inning began, Justin Smoke came in defensively at first base, and Ezequiel Carrera is now playing left field. Burns takes his lead, and Vogt lifts it foul, left side back out of play.
And back to Mike Aldrete, and you're right, bench coach. I mean, that's a very successful organization, Cardinals, and Mike Aldrete wanted to come home. You know, and he has had the opportunity to spend some time in his home, in his own bed, which is pretty nice.
Here's the pitch, and Vogt lifts it down the left side, foul out of play.
And Mike Aldrete is a good baseball man, so I think the A's are fortunate that when Chip Bell became a manager and opened up the bench coach job, that they were able to go outside the organization, bring back someone who actually played on both sides of the ball.
And also played collegiately over at Stanford. So Stephen Vogt, a left-handed hitter in the outfield, a big gap in right center. And Dickey out of the stretch. R.A. Dickey throws, and it's hit to left field. Carrera is right there, and he makes the catch. Back to second goes Burns. They were hopeful that Michael Saunders, who's a Canadian, would play a lot of left field this year after they acquired Saunders from Seattle for the left-handed pitcher Jay Happ. But Michael Saunders in spring training tripped on a sprinkler head, and he tore up his knee, and he's had a very tough time coming back.
And Pilar would have been the fourth outfielder had Saunders been playing. And doesn't that not remind you of Hall of Famer Mickey Mantle?
Well, that would have been game 2 of the 1951 World Series.
But it was a sprinkler head because he's afraid Joe DiMaggio was coming over.
And there's the pitch taken outside for a ball.
And it tore up his knee. And that's why Mantle, probably one of the fastest. But boy, to watch him, I think one of his last home runs to hobble around the bases.
5-2 ball game, the Jays lead, and Zobrist hits a fly ball center field. Pilar is fighting the sun. He's under it. He's there, and he makes the catch. And so the A's are retired in the 8th inning, and R.A. Dickey is cruising today after 8 complete, 5-2 Toronto. Ninth inning at the Coliseum, left-hander Eric O'Flaherty comes out of the A's bullpen. He is 1-2. His ERA is 6.50. A season interrupted by some time on the DL. And Chris Colabello will lead it off. Colabello, Pilar, and Travis. Arnold Leon did a nice job. 3 1/3 for Leon. 3 hits, a run, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Outfield slightly toward right for the former Twin and a longtime player in independent ball, Colabello. And O'Flaherty deals it, swung on and foul back out of play. Just over 19,000 here today. We'd love to see you when the A's get back home and begin that 11-game homestand after a brief 5-game trip, 3 in San Francisco and 3 against the Dodgers. Colabello is 2 for 3 today. A's down by 3 runs in the 9th, and the pitch by O'Flaherty is swung on and missed. You're talking about the Mantle injury, and there's been a lot written about that. It was game 2 of the 51 World Series against the Giants, and a ball that was hit by Willie Mays. And DiMaggio was playing center field, and Mantle was playing right field. And as the story goes, Casey Stengel had talked to Mantle before the series and had said, you know, Joe is slowing down. It was a changing of the guard as DiMaggio was in the twilight of his career. Low for a ball. And Mantle back then could run like the wind, but he was just a kid. And apparently Casey had told the Mick, I want you to try to get any ball you can get to.
Except if you come close and Joe's there.
That's right. Here's the pitch, and a bouncy ball to short right to Simeon, who fields and guns it to first. That's right, because Mantle went racing over on the ball that was hit by Mays, and out of, I guess, deference to the great DiMaggio, Mantle pulled up abruptly because it looked like DiMaggio would make the catch on the ball, and that's when Mickey Mantle tore up his knee. Here's Kevin Pilar, who's 1 for 3.
I remember seeing photographs of the great Mickey Mantle before games and how he'd have, and after games, just huge ice bags on both knees, you know, and how bad they were. And sometimes it didn't know if he could even play the game, you know, after he'd had the surgeries.
The pitch is swung on, foul, back out of play. 5-2 Toronto. We're in the 9th. Nobody throwing in the Jays bullpen. Reddick, Butler, and Davis due up for the A's in the bottom of the inning. Did you get to know the Mick at all?
Never did. He retired right as I was coming up, so I did not get a chance to see Denny McClain say to him, here it is, hit it. And he did.
Well, Flaherty fires, and it's chopped foul down the third base line, and it's 0-2. I mean, it's amazing what he accomplished, really, when you consider that he hurt his knee that badly in 51. And, of course, before all the advances in medical science. Here's the pitch, and that's low and outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, Mickey's dad was pretty sharp because he said, son, you got to be platooning eventually in baseball, and the only way you can avoid being platoon is to switch hit. He started in switch hitting at a very young age, and in case he was going to be doing it.
And inside for a ball, 2-2 from Oklahoma.
So he became a switch hitter, and how do you platoon the great Mickey Mantle as a switch hitter? Because he was equally strong and great from both sides.
Here comes the 2-2 pitch on the way. It's popped up. Short right center field. Zobrist fighting the sun and running the outfield grass to make the catch.
It looked like a Hunter Pence swing in practice.
It did.
Because it was going for his kneecap, and Pilar just dropped the head of the bat inside out and popped it up. Somehow made contact.
Well, the A's are going to see Jake Peavy, Madison Bumgarner, and Tim Hudson in the 3 games.
Is Zito coming back to make the start Sunday?
Here's the delivery, and it's a chopper by the mound. Charge it short. Simeon has it. The flip in time. O'Flaherty has a clean 9th. The A's will try to climb back. They've got a mountain to climb, though. And R.A. Dickey is going to come out and look for the complete game. The A's have Reddick leading off in the bottom of the 9th, and Butler and Davis. After 8.5, the Blue Jays lead the A's 5-2. Is to year up right now. Find great deals on designer brands, including Joseph Abboud, Calvin Klein, and Kenneth Cole. To find a store or to shop online, visit menswarehouse.com. R.A. Dickey is 3 outs away from a CG, and Reddick leads off and takes a knuckleball outside. He has 14 lifetime complete games. The last one came in late May this year against the Angels. Reddick is 1 for 2 with a walk. Dickey throws, and that's taking a strike on the outside corner. 5-8-1 for the Jays, 2-5-0 for the A's. And the pitch, and Reddick drives one to center. Pilar is going back, turning around, has the play 10 feet from the track, and he makes the catch. Reddick is out. Billy Butler is coming up. Bo Schultz, just in case, right-hander throwing in the bullpen for Toronto. In case Dickey were to stumble here.
Which pitcher named his son Justin? Was Leaper or
you mean just in case?
Just in case, because he was always in spring training. He always went just in case they needed him.
Inside for a ball.
They hit it? Yep.
Oh, he got a piece of Billy Butler, huh?
But yeah, the pitcher would go to spring training, and he'd always have to take the road trips just in case they needed him. So he said his son was born and named him Justin.
That's why. You know what? The Justins are important in the spring. That's like Bob Guerin used to say that his nickname was Four.
What's that?
And he said when he was playing for the Yankees that Bob Shepard would always say, batting for Guerin.
That's a good one.
John Givens goes to the mound, a pitching change, and Bo Schultz has been summoned from the bullpen. Bottom of the 9th inning with 1 out, and the A's have Butler at first, and we'll come back to the Coliseum after this. And relieving R.A. Dickey, who pitched great today. He went 8 1/3. He allowed 5 hits and 2 runs. He walked 1, struck out 6. Normally they close with Roberto Osuna, but he was in the game at the end yesterday, and he threw a lot of pitches. And so they go to Bo Schultz, who pitched in more of a setup role in last night's contest. And here's Ike Davis coming up for the A's against Bo Schultz. Hard throwing right-hander. And he delivers, and Ike takes a strike on the outside corner. It was Ike Davis against Osuna and the game-winning hit last night. Schultz is 0-1 with a 1.80 ERA. Ike Davis is 0 for 3. They're playing behind the runner, and the pitch is a ground ball double play ball to second. Here's the flip, and Goins goes to first. That's 4-6-3, and that quickly this ball game is over. from Travis to Goins and on to first, and Bo Schultz throws a couple of pitches, and this game is history. Blue Jays beat the A's 5-2. Back with the totals after this.